I was in the house when I heard it. The gunshot, that is. I still remember the exact date and time that my world came crashing down. On January 9, 2022 at 4:17 p.m., my older brother, Tyler, took his own life. I've been to counseling, I've seen countless doctors, I've meditated for hours on end, but all the therapy in the world wouldn't be enough to rid my conscience of that deafening, ear-piercing bang. I was the one who found him. He'd waited until Mom and Dad went to the store. The image of my brother's cold exanimate eyes staring listlessly up at me as blood oozed from his head is one that I'll never be able to forget. I was devastated. I tried everything I knew to do. I gave him CPR and called emergency services, but by the time the paramedics arrived, he was well past saving. He never stood a snowball's chance in hell. When Mom and Dad pulled up, his body was already being wheeled away on a gurney. I'll always remember that day. How Mom bawled uncontrollably while Dad numbly consoled her, the utter devastated grief written across Dad's visage as he held Mom's trembling body, the abject hopelessness that made its home in the pit of my stomach as tears rolled down my own cheeks. I'd never experienced such debilitating pain before. That was truly my rock bottom. I adored my brother. He was my best friend, my protector, my person. Without him, I had nothing, no one. I suddenly found myself all alone in the world at just 17 years old. I blamed myself for a long time. Hell, I still do. Maybe if I'd just spent more time with him, or listened to him more closely, or told him how much he meant to me, maybe then he'd still be here. Maybe. Nobody understood the toll his passing took on me. As the rest of my family inevitably recovered, I remained cold and unreceptive to the outside world. I watched in pure disgust as everyone around me eventually forgot about Tyler, his friends, his classmates, even our own parents moved on like he was a distant memory, one they crammed to the furthest recesses of their minds, one they wanted to forget. Not me, though. Oh no, I wasn't going to let them sweep his legacy under the rug like a matted dust bunny. I needed to find a way to talk to him, even if it was just for a minute. I researched methods to communicate with the dead for weeks. Ouija boards, psychics, palm readers, they were all full of crap. I was beginning to lose hope when an ad popped up on my laptop. Dream Team Supernatural Connections. Talk to your deceased loved one in 3 easy steps. I scoffed. I didn't believe that for a second. I continued reading anyway, though, not like I had anything better to do. Have a deceased friend or relative you desperately need to get in contact with. Maybe Uncle Richie forgot to tell you where he hid his safe key. Or maybe you have a recently departed landlord that you want to spit on as one last screw you from beyond the grave. Maybe you just need to tell dear Aunt Margaret exactly how much she meant to you. Whatever the case, Dream Team Supernatural Connections has the solution for you. With our limited time dream package, you can have another shot to make things right with your desired. I hit a paywall, $4.99 plus shipping to buy the dream package, and continue reading. I pondered for a moment, hovering my mouse over the button. What did I have to lose? That measly amount of cash wouldn't break the bank. With bated breath, I clicked purchase. I input my debit card information and waited as the next screen loaded. Congratulations, your purchase is being processed. You can expect delivery in 3 to 5 minutes. 3 to 5 minutes. That had to have been a typo. Surely they meant days, right? I was reading over the statement for the 14th time when I heard it. The doorbell. I raced out of my room and intercepted Mom at the door. Charlie, is everything okay? You look pale. Yeah, everything's fine. Just expecting a package, I wheezed, cursing myself for my lack of stamina. Oh, that's nice. Honey, what did you order? I pursed my lips, thumbing through my mental thesaurus to piece together the right words. It's a ritual set, you know, for like manifesting and stuff. Her brows furrowed as I flung the door open and knelt to scoop up the mid-sized box lying inconspicuously on our doorstep. What kind of manifesting, Charlie? I sighed, turning to face her. Mom's arms were crossed and her head was cocked to the side. I inhaled deeply, preparing myself for the ensuing argument that I knew was brewing. It's to talk to Tyler, Mom. Just leave me alone. I tried to brush past her and beeline to my room, but she caught my arm. You're not going anywhere, mister. We need to talk. I know how much you loved your brother, but it's time to move on. You're a shell of your former self. I scowled at her, rage boiling inside me like hot magma. Move on. My best friend in the entire world is dead and you want me to just move on. How the hell am I supposed to do that, huh? Charlie, it's been over a year. I'm not saying you have to forget about. Oh, don't worry, I won't forget about him. Not like you and Dad did. Shock overwhelmed her, and tears began spilling down her cheeks. Charlie, I could never forget your brother. He's all I think about. That day replays in my head over and over again like a broken record. I loved him so much. We all did. Losing him absolutely broke me, but I healed. I got better, and he'd want the same for you. You loved him. I spat, tears clouding my vision. Then why can't you even bring yourself to say his name? She glanced down at the floor, speechless. Exactly. I stomped away, unable to hold back my cries any longer. I locked my door, tossing the package onto my nightstand, and sunk into my mattress. I clutched the photograph of Tyler and me that I kept by my bedside table, hugging our smiling faces tightly to my chest. I will see you again, big bro, I promise. Once I'd mostly recovered, I decided to take a look at the parcel I'd received. Upon closer inspection, I noted that it was a nondescript brown box with lavender cursive letters emblazoned on the top. Dream Team Supernatural Connections. Find your peace. I carefully ripped off the paper enveloping the bundle and tentatively opened it. I slicked its contents onto my bed. Before me sat a dime bag holding a small piece of rose quartz, half a pound of salt, a purple pill, and an instruction manual. I thumbed through the booklet, skipping past the pages in foreign languages, and soaked in the directions. Step 1. Take the salt and evenly distribute it around your bed until you have made a complete circle. Step 2. Hold the crystal in your left hand. Do not let it go. Step 3. Swallow the capsule with a full glass of water before going to sleep and focus on the person you wish to communicate with. Disclaimer: Dream Team Supernatural Connections is not liable in the event of injuries, permanent disfigurement, or death. I glanced over at my alarm clock. 10 minutes past 11. It was well before I usually hit the hay, but I was eager to try the strange ritual. I cautiously dumped the salt around my bed, encasing it in a near-perfect oval. Close enough, right? Brandishing the quartz in my left hand, I trudged to the kitchen and downed a glass of water along with the purple caplet. I anxiously rushed back to my room and threw myself under the covers. This was it. I was giddy with excitement. I filled my mind with fond memories of me and Tyler, gleefully awaiting my encounter with him. It didn't take long for sleep to take me. I clenched the crystal tightly, indentions boring into my sweaty palms. As the pill dissolved, I could feel it working its magic. Before I knew it, darkness clouded my thoughts, and I was whisked off to a tranquil slumber. I awoke in my bed. I leaned up, dejected. It hadn't worked. What was I thinking? I mean, did I seriously expect a $5 internet hoax to bring my brother back? A single tear slithered down my cheek. I rolled over it, trying to nod off, when I heard it, soft rustling from outside my door. It had to be my parents. My gaze shifted to my alarm clock. My eyes were met with a jumble of peculiar symbols that were unfamiliar to me. Dread began to bubble in my gut. Was this real? I darted out of bed and flung open the door. My jaw fell to the ground as I drank in the scene before me. An impossibly long hallway stretched beyond my doorway. A single dim flickering light illuminated the corridor in a sickly yellow glow. Pitch black darkness shrouded the edges, where the glow tapered off. At the end of the hall, a blue door loomed. The words "Stay out" were scrawled in red on a crumpled yellowing piece of notebook paper barely clinging to the frame. I gulped. I knew that door. It led to Tyler's room. I laboriously pushed forward. Each step felt as if I was wearing cement shoes. I wasn't going to let that stop me, though. Nothing would prevent me from reaching my brother. I nearly leapt out of my skin when I felt it. A gray mangled hand reached from the darkness, grasping at my exposed ankle. Fear crashed down on me like a tidal wave. Inching from the black, hundreds of gray withered hands grappled aimlessly at the air, their broken cracked fingernails desperate to claw into viable flesh. I lurched forward, sprinting as fast as my weighted legs would allow as the walls closed in on me from all sides. Just a few more feet. I was so close. I stretched out my arm, my fingertips grazing the glimmering doorknob. Suddenly, white-hot pain seared through my heel. I released an anguished cry as dozens of knobby digits scraped at my skin. I flailed and kicked, struggling to free myself from the icy fingers wrestling over my ankle. I came crashing to the cold, sturdy ground. This was it. This was how I was going to die. Tears began to cloud my vision. I'd come this far just to be dragged down to the fiery depths of hell. I'd never see my brother again. My parents would always wonder what became of me. No, the realization hit me like a ton of bricks. The rose quartz, the bottom of the crystal still clutched in my grip, came to a sharp point at the bottom. That was my salvation. I began brutally bludgeoning the hands, drawing viscous black liquid with each stabbing blow. One by one they retreated, leaving me hyperventilating on the floor. I shakily rose to my feet, allowing myself a moment to steady my wildly palpitating heart. I stared at the door in all of its beautiful horror, a nauseating concoction of trepidation and elation swirling within me as I slowly reached for the handle. Gathering every ounce of courage I could muster, I finally pushed the door open. I was in Tyler's room. It looked exactly as it did the day he died. His signature beanie hung on the edge of his bed. Grateful Dead posters dotted the walls. His backpack, filled to the brim with intricate works of art, sat right where he left it. And in the center of the room, there he was. He stood facing the bed, his back to me. My heart fluttered as I cautiously shuffled toward him. Tyler. He gradually, painstakingly rotated his head to face me. I choked back bile and stifled the scream crawling up my throat. Tyler's face was squirming with rot and decay. Maggots writhed in an empty eye socket, a handful falling to the floor. As he turned toward me, his skin was marred by heavy yellow blotches and festering open wounds. Deep lacerations were entrenched in his neck, dark dried blood staining his t-shirt. Brown jagged teeth jutted from his black decomposing gums. Through all the cuts and viscera, he wore an expression of shock. My heart shattered seeing him like that. Charlie, no, you shouldn't be here. Please tell me you're not dead. And no, I'm not. I just wanted to see you again, I stammered, still gaping at my brother's weary, mutilated form. He breathed a sigh of relief before looking me dead in the eyes. Charlie, you have to leave. I don't know how you got here, but I need you to promise me that you'll never return. His stern visage and the finality in his tone sent a chill undulating up my spine. I sheepishly met his stare. Okay, I promise. But what happened to you? What is this place? Tyler, I just wanted to see you again, I sobbed, fat sloppy tears streaming down my cheeks. Tyler pursed his shriveled lips. As he did, a low rumble began to rattle the room, sending picture frames crashing to the ground. Tyler's countenance fell, and I could sense panic swimming beneath his features. It would be best if you didn't know. He's coming. You have to get out of here, now. Tyler shrieked as he lunged forward, shoving me out the door. I dropped the crystal that I hadn't remembered I was holding. My body began to dissolve, my vision obscured with static. Tyler, I love you, I screamed as I continued to fade. I love you too, Charlie. Don't you ever forget that, he said, his good eyes shimmering as the room quaked behind him. Just as the oppressive black overtook me, I swear I could make out an amorphous shadow floating behind my brother. A wide devilish grin was the only discernible feature amid its smoky frame. Its eyes glowed red as it began to take form, placing a charred, smoldering hand on Tyler's shoulder. His face contorted in agony, a silent wail dying on his lips. That was the last thing I saw before I passed out. I bolted upright in bed, drenched in sweat. I cried, quivering uncontrollably as a wave of emotions slammed into me like a freight train. That couldn't have been real. It was all just a vivid nightmare. That couldn't be Tyler's fate. It just couldn't. I lulled my mind back to a sense of relative ease with the repeated thought that what I'd seen was a lie, a figment of my overactive imagination hoping in vain to encounter my departed brother. I'd nearly convinced myself that it was all a dream, a terrible, sinister illusion that I'd never again fall subject to. I slid from bed, in dire need of a glass of water to soothe my arid throat. Pain streaked through my heels like lightning bolts the moment my feet touched the floor. I crumpled to the ground, clenching my teeth as I gingerly rubbed my irritated skin. All the dread I'd felt while asleep instantly exploded through my chest, because when I glanced down, I saw angry red claw marks coating my ankles.